Hi and welcome to this video tutorial in which I will show you what Aqueduct is, what you can do with it, and we will also set up a small project using Aqueduct. So why am I doing these video tutorials? I have seen that there are a lot of resources based on that one, but I couldn't find any good resources based on that too. And that's why I decided to create these tutorials, and I hope they will be useful to some of you when you learn the language. So what is Aqueduct? Aqueduct is a HTTP framework for building REST APIs. So that's basically it. So the good thing or the main feature behind it is that it exposes a REST API, so a JSON API, that you can use to fetch and store data and store it, for example, in a database. So by default, Aqueduct is supporting Postgres. There are no other databases supported at this time, but Postgres is quite a capable database. It has some JSON-based features, NoSQL features, but it's mainly SQL database, and it had pretty good benchmarks overall against MongoDB and other databases. So this might not stay the same all the time, but at the moment that's how it is. So it's I think one of the best databases that are out there. So I don't actually think you need anything more, but if you like NoSQL, then you might also try Jaguar, which has an integration for NoSQL databases, at least for MongoDB. So what does Aqueduct have integrated? It is multi-threaded out of the box, which means it can leverage all the CPUs on your computer if you want to, which makes the framework much faster than frameworks that don't have these features. You have routing features, which means that stuff that you type into the URL can be linked to code. So for example, classes, which can be then used to manipulate the data. You have an integrated ORM, so object relational model. So that means that you have features which enable you to create SQL queries without actually knowing SQL. You have OAuth 2.0 integrated, which is one of the most commonly used authentication servers out there at the moment. You can do easy request bindings, so it's very easy to get headers and do queries and things like that. You have integrated tests. You have an integrated test library with which you can write all the tests. And then you also have the OpenAPI 3 integration, which is basically a tool to document code for you, so you don't have to document that much. Okay, so that's basically it. That's what Aqueduct includes. So when we go to the command line, I will just go out and delete this quickly. My board. So what we will create is just a small project called my board. The project won't have much in it at the moment, but we will extend it over time. So if you don't have Aqueduct installed yet, there are some simple steps explained up here. So brew install Dart, that's one of the commands you will need to execute to install Dart language on the command line. I have explained how to do that in a previous video, so if you have not done that, go and check it out. Then the next command is this one, pub global activate Aqueduct. So you would have to type this into the command line and press enter. I won't do that now because I have it installed already. What this will do, it will add some command line tools, such as the Aqueduct command line tool, which you can then use to execute certain features of the language also create new projects and so on. So then to create a new project, you would type Aqueduct create and then what name of the project that you want to create. So you would say Aqueduct create my board. And what this does, it will create a skeleton of the whole project. Just wait until this completes. Should be hopefully finished soon. Okay, success. And if we look at it, then we have this my board Aqueduct project. So now what we can do, as we have Visual Studio installed as well, if you haven't installed Visual Studio yet, I have also explained how to do that in one of my previous videos. You can just open it. You can just say file, new window. New window will open up, then you can say file, open, go into the location where you have created the project, and then you can just open it up. Okay, and that's it. So basically now we have the whole project open in Visual Studio. If we go to pubspec YAML, you will see what kind of versions that you have. This is perfectly okay. You might want to change the name and the description and the author and so on. Then what you have is the bin folder. In the bin folder you have this main.start. This is what's required to actually start the server. So that's one of the main pieces. Then we have the lib folder, which will contain all the code. So here we have a Dart file called myboard.dart, which basically includes some exports. You don't have to do anything here, so that's fine. We will work with the channel.dart. For the moment. So the channel.dart is where you would implement all the routing functionality and also set up the database features and so on. Then you also have a test directory where you can write tests. We won't do that at the moment. So we will concentrate on this channel.start. So as you can see here, this is what will be executed once the main.start is started. You can see we have at the moment one example here already. So we have to define a router. Then we have to say what route we match. And then we will create a link function here, which will generate a response. So it will generate a response. Response.ok means that a header of value 200 will be sent back, which means which is basically a success message. And then we have this key and this value. So that's a JSON that will be passed back. So a link function is, like it says, a direct function in which you can write your code and it will pass everything back. You can also use .link. .link is used to actually invoke a class, another class, a controller for example, and then you can put all your code into this controller. But for now this is okay, so what we can do here is we can write, for example, tests, and here we can write hello world. So that's what we should get back once we start Aqueduct. So when we now go onto this main.start, you can just right click, then we can say start without debugging. And if we execute this, then you can see that Aqueduct actually starts, and it actually opens 2 threads because it can connect to 2 CPUs, which is great. So here we basically see how many threads could be started. So then we see application started on port 8888. Now remember, when we go back up here, when we go into this channel, we have set up this root/example. So that's what we need to execute to get back this JSON. So when we now go to here and open a new browser window and we type localhost 8888/example, we will see we have test and hello world. So that's basically it for this first example. Some next videos we will go a little bit deeper. We will also check how to set up the database, but for now at least you have Aqueduct installed and the first URL that parses back some JSON. So I hope this helped you, and see you again in the next video. Have a good day and bye bye.